Hey, everybody, welcome to Pep Talk, the podcast that gives you the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, where we take these complex health and wellness topics, break them down, make it real simple, and give you daily action steps that you can do to improve your happiness, your health, and ultimately your wealth. Listen, I'm Dr. Eric Nepute. On this episode of Pep Talk, we're going to talk about something that I've mentioned a lot before. That's a test that you can do to get a really a roadmap, a blueprint, if you will, of your health. And it's the Nutrigenomic saliva swab spit test. Whatever way you do it, it's a test that you can do to find out exactly the blueprint, if you will, of your body. You guys hear me talk all the time that you need vitamins, minerals, and nutrients. You need the raw materials to help heal your body, right? Well, we need the worker bees, right? The enzymes, the peptides, the exosomes, the stem cells, the bacteria, all those hormones and all those things to grab the raw materials and put it to work to tell your cells to get things repaired. Well, we also need the blueprint, right? If you have a house that needs to be built, not only do you need raw materials, not only do you need the contractors and laborers to fix it, but you need the blueprint to read to know what are you supposed to do. Well, the blueprint for your body is your genetic code. And you guys, there are so many genes that we now have the ability to measure. And through the use of epigenetics and measuring something called SNPs, which are known as single nucleotide polymorphisms, which are imbalances or genes that aren't firing like they're supposed to, understanding those genes and making lifestyle modifications can be an absolute game changer for folks. I've been doing this kind of work in my clinical practices now for almost 2 decades, at least over 15 years. And over the last 15 years, we've seen some massive changes and improvement in technology. When I used to do genetic testing for my patients, man, it was a $2,500 test. And we would get back this booklet of information with all this code and stuff in it, but we wouldn't know how to take action on it. And over the years, we've learned more actionable steps that can be made. And the cost of the therapies and the treatments have gone down massively. Let me just ask you a question. What if there was a test that you could do now, a simple saliva or a spit test that could tell you everything from, listen to this, everything from your physical DNA on the power of your muscles, the muscle stamina, uses of oxygen, your aerobic threshold, your recovery rate, your muscle mass, your risk for injury, your soft tissue inflammation. What if you could learn all those things from a genetic standpoint and then take action from that? What if there were genes from a dietary standpoint that you could learn your responses to carbohydrates, unsaturated fats, saturated fats, by the way, which is a huge component to cholesterol and triglycerides, protein response, sugar response, your overeating of sweet response, the bitter taste response. What if I told you that there were genes, like, for example, does anybody in here ever have cilantro? Did you know, how many of you watching like cilantro? How many of you, when you eat cilantro, it tastes like soap or it tastes horrible? That's a gene mutation. It's like so many expressions that you have of your environment are your genes and how your genes express. What if there was genes that could tell you how risky yo-yo dieting is, or vitamins, like that you could tell vitamin D deficiencies, A and iron and magnesium and potassium and sodium and B6 and B12 and selenium and, I mean, fatty acids, glutathione, the list goes on and on. What if there was health genetic tests that you could do that could tell if you were sensitive to caffeine, or you had a genetic predisposition for bone mineral problems like osteoporosis, osteopenia, or if you had genetic predisposition to obesity or type 2 diabetes, or even a genetic increased risk of infections? Wouldn't you want to know that? Or if you had some health insights on how your body responds to stress, and how stress affects your memory, and how stress affects your hormones, and how caffeine affects your stress, or your sleep. What if there were genes that could tell you if you were a night owl, or if you had sleep duration issues, or if you had genetic predispositions to fragmented sleep, or how caffeine affects your sleep, or anti-aging, all those and much, much more? What if that existed? What if there were, I'm literally reading the list of like genes to help you determine if you have risk of injury for back issues, bone and joint issues, Achilles, knee problems, and certain types of rehab, if they'd be beneficial for you? What if there was genes that could measure the risk of mental health for like attention span, your workaholic traits, or your dopamine genes that could tell if you're predisposed for addiction? how caffeine affects your focus, dealing with memory, night production. If you're a genetic worrier versus a warrior, I mean, gut genes that could tell you if you have gluten intolerance risk, gut irritability risk, gingivitis, gum problems. I mean, all these things, heart health, immunity is a massive one, eye health, skin health. That's a big one. If you had risk of skin cancers, increased risk of skin causing related aging, if gluten affects your skin, what if there were genes out there that could look at your muscle health and give you an idea of your myostatin performance, your natural testosterone performance, exercise-induced muscle strength, coenzyme Q deficiencies? What if that existed so that you had a blueprint for you? You see, in the world of genetics, we talk about that your genes load your gun, but your lifestyle is what pulls the trigger. What if there was a simple test that you could do that gave you so much information and insight on how you should live your life? And I'm going to tell you, you're going to hear me say this so many times, you cannot out supplement a poor lifestyle. Well, you could be eating a quote unquote healthy lifestyle that's healthy for someone, but not healthy for you. Let me give you an example. Many of you have heard me give the example of there's a woman I just recently saw in my practices, and she's eating clean. She has fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue, all the things that go with it, autoimmune issues, you name it. I've been seeing her now for about 3 months, a little over 3 months. She is taking every supplement under the sun. She's doing every type of health and wellness trend on social media you can think of. She's taking every peptide, every hormone, trying to do everything to help herself. Well, we ran a genetic profile on her and found out she has a gene imbalance called MTHFR, which means she can't detoxify. That's why she's so toxic. She can't methylate her B vitamins. That's why she's exhausted. And she's sensitive to gluten. She's cut a lot of gluten out of her diet, but even a little bit goes a long way for problems with her. And she has a gene that doesn't allow her to oxalate or to break down oxalates in food, which are things like what are in grass-fed beef, it's in spinach, it's in kale. And this woman's eating grass-fed beef. She's eating spinach and kale 2 or 3 times a day because she's trying to do a keto carnivore type diet. Well, those foods were causing her more inflammation, which caused her gut to be out of balance, which caused her cells in her body to be inflamed, which caused her cell signaling technologies of hormones and peptides and stem cells to go down in function, which is leading to her symptoms. But if we would have never ran those tests, we'd have been guessing on what we're finding. That's why it's important to understand that physiology doesn't lie. We test, we don't guess. And whether you're a brick and mortar physician or a telehealth practitioner, you need to be offering this type of precision testing to your clients. Or if you're just like a lay person watching this like everybody else out there, you need to be able to have access to genetic profile testing that really can give you the map, the keys in the car of what you should do. Now, there are a lot of supposed genetic tests on the market, and they're measuring tests. There's a lot of them that measure, 5 SNPs. They're charging you, $800 to measure 5 genetic SNPs. And they're trying to, take your health to the, multiple times 10 level of health and wellness. But when you get that test back, they say, all right, eat more fruits and vegetables, get 8 hours of sleep, exercise 3 days a week, make sure that you're getting outside and plenty of sunshine, and take our supplements. Are you kidding me? I don't have any more hair to pull out of my head. I mean, that's a great place to start, 5 SNPs. There are other organizations that run up to 20 SNPs, and they can give you more detailed solution what's out there. What I recommend is a genetic profile that is a 800,000 SNP global array test done on an Illumina machine that measures over 800,000 SNPs, that tells you that there's 250 of those 800,000, there's 250 of those SNPs, those imbalances in the genes that have enough clinical medical data that has a medical and scientific consensus of if you do X, Y, and Z, you can potentially reduce your risk or mitigate some of the potential pulling of the trigger that your lifestyle can cause if you have genes that load the gun. You understand what I'm saying? By the way, we can't use the words prevent, treat, mitigate, or cure. Those are words that are owned by the pharmaceutical industry, and they're owned by lobbyists. So even if you found out you had an MTHFR gene, you found out that you were intolerant to gluten, that gluten intolerance was the cause of your thyroid issues, your fibromyalgia, and your diabetes, and you changed your lifestyle and you said, I found out this gene was problematic, I changed my lifestyle and I cured my diabetes or cured my fibromyalgia, or you're going to get taken off social media. And we could be held liable if we told you that. Why? Has nothing to do with the facts that your body's better now. Has everything to do with legalities. I want you to understand that the system is rigged against you. There's a reason why there's a massive amount of suppression of truth and knowledge that's out there. So there's my soapbox for the second. But how powerful would it be if every man, woman, and child knew how they should eat, knew how they should sleep, knew how their body processed certain, fats, carbs, proteins, knew what duration and frequency of exercise, knew how stress affected their body, knew how certain chemical compounds or even drugs affected their body, knew how the skin could be affected by. I mean, the more you know about your body, the better. By the way, those 800,000 SNPs that are measured, there's only 250 that we have concise, clear-cut data of action steps to take. Well, science is improving every day. What I love about this test is that, the rest of these 700,000 and change SNPs that are out there, once we get the data that shows, hey, do this for that SNP, those folks that have taken this SNP usually have an app that they can go to their app. And by the way, the app breaks down everything for them in an AI-driven algorithm that shows them what they should do to improve their lifestyle, what action steps they can do, everything from exercises to do, the foods to eat, to how to make those foods, genetic profile for them, and etc. As more data comes out, you're going to be given that data, because knowledge is powerful, but wisdom is taking that knowledge and apply it to your life. I'm gonna go and be a little vulnerable today with you. I'm going to share with you the results of my own personal genetic test. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go read the physical component. So I like how this looks. It's either normal or abnormal. Okay. And we want to be in that normal range. Remember, these genes are the ones that load the gun. If we live the wrong lifestyle, that's what pulls the trigger and allows that gene to express. So when I look at my physical traits, it tells me, okay, what's my muscle power? Muscle power is normal. I've got good muscle power. My strength and stamina is good. So I can do more high intensity, high impact exercises. By the way, it also tells me that the best way for me to keep my weight under control is not to do cardio, but to do pushing of weights. And that's so true. If I want to personally keep my blood sugars balanced, it also shows that pushing weights, lifting weights and resistance is better for me to lower my sugar levels and increase my muscle mass and improve my overall weight as opposed to dieting and long distance cardiovascular stuff. That's powerful. That's so powerful. It also talks about my body's risk for injuries, and it breaks down those injuries, which I'll do on another page for you. It tells me my lean body mass, my power to weight ratio is high, which means the majority of weight that I carry is not fat, it's muscle mass. And so if I live my lifestyle according to that, that gives me some really good insights. That tells me if I want to keep my sugars under control and live a long, healthy, happy life within a weight that's best for me, it's not just diet and it's not just cardio, it's resistance training that is important for me. When I look at the dietary component, it looks at fats, carbs, proteins, sugar absorption, and it looks at protein absorption. Well, it says right here, my number one nutrient for my body is protein. It says that I do really good with protein and I don't do well with saturated fats. So my body cannot handle saturated fats and it cannot handle certain types of carbohydrates very well. And it also says that my body is predisposed to yo-yo dieting, which means if I go on a fad diet, I might lose 20 pounds over 4 to 6 weeks. But not only am I going to gain it back, I'm probably going to gain more weight back afterwards. You have a genetic predisposition for that. I have a lactase problem, which tells me that I should stay away from dairy and casein. I have an increased risk for overeating sweets. I have an increased risk for it says a bitter food response. So if I should eat more bitter foods, sorry, but if I overeat sugars, it's going to convert at a higher risk for diabetes for me. I mean, knowing that on a genetic level is a powerful thing. And then I can take a look back at my family and go, yeah, you know what? That makes sense because I come from a family full of diabetics. I come from a lot of people that eat carbohydrates and overconsume processed junk foods, and sweets are everywhere. Well, if we can just shift that and start eating more of a carnivore keto diet, start pushing weights. I mean, just in these first 2 pages, I can tell you that these are things that I personally need to do. You need to find out what you need to do. Here's the vitamin page. This blew my mind. So this is not a blood test of the here and now of your deficiencies and toxicities of vitamins. This is the genetic predisposition I have for receptor sites. So my vitamin D is good, so I'm fine with that. My vitamin A is good. My iron is good. My magnesium is good. My potassium is good. My sodium is good. My B6 is low. So I have to have methylated B6 vitamins in my diet, or else I'm going to have a higher increased risk of fatigue, a higher increased risk of blood sugar problems, and I'm going to have a lower production of ATP in my body. So my body's not going to take the food I eat and convert it into energy. So I'm going to get tired after I eat if I don't have the right B vitamins. My B12 is good. My folate, I actually have a higher risk of folate issues. So I have to take an L-methylated form of folic acid or folate, and I have to avoid synthetic folic acid like kryptonite, or else I'm going to have problems with it. If I have energy drinks, anything that's fortified with a folate B vitamin, that's like kryptonite for my body. That means I need to avoid gluten like the plague. I have a massive increased risk for selenium deficiencies. It's my highest one. And selenium is one of the nutrients that we can clinically say and globally say that if you're deficient in selenium, you have a higher risk of thyroid problems, immune system issues, and a higher risk of cancer. So selenium is a big deal for me. So I better eat Brazil nuts regularly, and I better have at least 300 micrograms of a good healthy selenium every day. My omega-3 levels are fine. Calcium is fine. I need branched chain amino acids. I need more of those, and I need more creatine. My body says branched chain amino acids and creatine are beneficial for me, which makes sense because why? Because my body needs more protein. Protein breaks down into amino acids. That's why peptides would be beneficial for me. Anybody that has a normal or above normal utilization need for branched chain amino acids or protein needs peptides in their system. My glutamate levels, I would benefit if I had glutamate. Glutamate helps the nerves work better in the body. I'm more prone to diabetes and neuropathy and other circulatory issues because I've got the issue with glutamate. Beta alanine, arginine, those are all normal. Okay. Let's look at health results. So caffeine, I'm fine with caffeine. I could literally drink a pot of caffeine before I go to bed. It doesn't affect me. I'm genetically set up that way. I'm fine for genetic bone mass. I'm fine for the risk of obesity. I don't have a major risk of obesity. I have a risk of type 2 diabetes, which could be a lead to obesity. Okay, I have a big increased risk of type 2 diabetes, massive increased risk. By the way, it makes sense because most people in my family go down that route. They eat too many carbs, they eat too much gluten and grains, they have too much sweets, and they develop diabetes. I don't have a genetic predisposition for immune system weaknesses. By the way, a lot of people during flu and cold season that have a higher chance of getting colds and getting sick have an increased risk of this. Okay, does stress, this is the stress insights, the stress response. So stress is going to cause me to have more, I'm going to feel more pressure with stress. And I do. When I'm stressed out, I feel it. Even though I act cool as ice, I feel it in my body. Stress does not affect my memory. I have the ability to handle and deal with stress. But I have a big increase in the fact that stress causes physical pain in my body. When I'm stressed out, I feel it in my jaw, my neck, my knees, and sometimes my back. I'm genetically predisposed to that. That's pretty wild. Sleep. Let's look at sleeping genes. So so it says right here that I'm not good at in the evening time. I do my best work in the morning. My brain and body is more apt. I'm not a night owl. I'm a morning person. My body needs longer sleep. People that normally need, 6 to 8 hours, I need 8 to 10 hours. And if I can't get that, then I need to do something or use technology that I can biohack my body to get caught up on sleep later, or utilize naps whenever I can. Fragmented sleep, I have no risk for that. Narcolepsy, no risk for that. Does stress affect my sleep? No risk for that. And caffeine, that doesn't bother me at all. My anti-aging genes, I have a slightly increased risk of physical decline with aging. So I have to be in the gym 3 days a week doing weights. Or if I don't, and if I'm not stretching regularly, I'm going to have a higher increased risk of my body physically breaking down. That's a good thing for me to know. It gives me yet another reason why I need to be in the gym. I don't want to turn into an old man in my 40s, 50s, 60s. And I definitely want to be young, happy, healthy, and productive, in my 90s, hundreds, and above. All right. Um, I have normal cognition with age. I have normal testosterone with age. I have a slightly lower decline. So my body physically breaks down muscles with age, but my bones don't. Um, and stress does affect my aging. So the more stress I'm under, the more I age. And I will tell you, amen to that. So I've got to make sure that I mitigate my stress. My injury risk. I have an increased risk for low back pain genetically. I don't have an increased risk for bone or joint problems. I have a massive increased risk for Achilles problems and Achilles tears. I have a big increased risk for knee problems, which I will tell you that's true. So now I'm doing exercise and stretches to prevent Achilles and knee problems. And then my body will respond favorably to rehabilitation. Mental health summary. I have a normal attention span. I have a massive probability of being a workaholic or addicted to things. Knowing that is important because that's your dopamine response. And knowing that you're addicted to things and knowing that gives you an opportunity to be addicted to things that are more going to help you from a health and a wellness and a wealth standpoint, as opposed to being addicted to things that could cause problems. Knowing that is important. Um, Caffeine actually affects my focus. So if I use a caffeine, my brain gets really super laser focused. Some of you, it's the opposite. You take caffeine, it shuts you down. Knowing that is important. Um, Dealing with memory task, my mental health is on point for that. And I have low production as a night owl. So I need to do my work in the morning, not in the evening. And I'm mixed between what they call worrier and warrior. My gut health, I have a increased risk for gluten. My gut irritability, I don't have. I can eat almost anything except for gluten. My gums are healthy. Why is that important? Gum health is related to gut health, and gut health is related to gum health, and gum health is related to heart health. I have a slight increased risk of stress negatively affecting my gut, so I better mitigate my stress. And caffeine doesn't affect my gut at all. Let's talk about my heart health. I have low risk for heart aging. I have medium risk for genetic high blood pressure. I have low risk for salt affecting blood pressure. That's a big one to know. If you have a high risk for salt affecting your blood pressure, you need to know that. You need to minimize your salt and increase your good healthy salts. I have an increase for LDL and HDL imbalance, which is why I eat more of a carnivore keto diet. That's why I push heavy weights. That's why I keep my sugar levels down because of that. And I take certain peptides and nutraceuticals because of that. My cardiovascular health is normal. My immune health, I have a great response for immune health. My vitamin D for immune health is good. B vitamins are very beneficial for me. So I take methylated B vitamins to help keep my immune system working. Um, my selenium is very beneficial for me. I told you that I'm deficient in that genetically. So I take extra selenium daily to keep my immune system up. My vitamin C, it's very beneficial for me to get vitamin C. So I do the daily, what's called Linus Pauling dose of vitamin C, and I get a vitamin IV at least twice a month, just me personally. And I don't have an inflammatory response to my immune system. Let's look at the eyes. So I have normal degeneration. It's a little slightly faster with age for my eyes. I have no risk for cataract. I have massive increased risk for angular glaucoma. Knowing that's important because there's certain fat soluble vitamins I take to help keep my glaucoma risk down. Beta carotene, I have a higher risk for that. So if I'm not eating my beta carotene, having my vitamin A, beta carotene, carrots, I have a higher risk for night vision issues. And then I have a higher risk if I don't take my B vitamins. So if I'm deficient in vitamins, my eyesight goes bad. And I'll tell you that's true. If I'm traveling and I don't have my vitamins or I'm not eating well for my genetic lifestyle, my vision gets worse. The better I eat, the less I have to wear my glasses. Skin health. I have normal skin damage health. Rate of skin damage is normal. I have an increased risk of skin beta carotene. So again, if I don't have my beta carotene, my eyes and my skin get bad. Gluten destroys my skin. It's the number one cause of getting acne, breakouts, pimples, all that stuff. I have no likelihood of getting freckles. Collagen breakdown is normal. This is a big one because there's a lot of people taking collagen right now, and if they have an increased risk of collagen breakdown, those are the people that are beneficial from collagen. If not, and you need collagen peptide as well, you guys. I have a slower skin glycolysis with aging, so my skin's not going to age as fast. My skin ancestry is good. It shows mixed race ancestry, which is interesting. I have normal risk for wrinkles. That's pretty cool. My muscle health. My myostatin potential is high, which means my muscles can get big fast. Natural testosterone is normal. My exercise-induced muscle pain is normal. My stress-related muscle pain is normal, but I have no risk of CoQ10 deficiency. But what it tells me is the more I push weights and work out, the healthier my body's going to be. And then I can go through a genetic action plan, what to eat, what to sleep, all that kind of stuff. It's really powerful what you can learn. And you hear me talk about self-care is the real healthcare. But if you don't have a map to follow or a blueprint to follow, and this DNA discovery kit does that. Typically, I mean, this kit typically is less than $800. It's one time in your life. It's a spit saliva test. You get an app that tells you all this stuff. You get an amazing PDF printout on this stuff. There's a lot of education that comes with this test. It's really something that I feel every man, woman, and child should have, especially the younger you are in your health journey. The more you know about what you should do for yourself, the better it is. It's one of those toolkits that's like knowledge is power, but this is okay. This is a ton of information of how to live my life. And you heard a lot of the things. That's just from the 250 snips that we have actionable now. Over the next years, we're going to see hundreds of more snips coming out. We're going to be able to expand on this test. So knowledge is power, but wisdom is taking that knowledge and applying it to your life. So I would encourage you to get this DNA discovery profile test done. It's really powerful. And go back and watch this podcast and share this with your friends and family and loved ones, because it's really a powerful tool. And I want you to go to our website, go to PEPTalk.world. That's PEPTalk.world. Like, share, and subscribe. Tag me on social media. When you do your spit test, when you do your results, go on there and show me. I want to see that. I want to engage with you guys on all of our platforms, because, I'm all about helping people get the map, the keys in the car. This is it. But you still got to drive that thing, man. So, folks, until we meet again, I'm Dr. Eric Nepute. God bless you. God bless America. And God bless the world. Hope you guys have an amazing day, and we'll see you on the next podcast. Be well.